awaken, brothers and sisters. I'm happy to be here. Peace be unto you, and I love you. I come to you this evening. We are back on track. We are back on track this evening. We're back on track. We're going to wait for brothers and sisters to get here. It's a little late getting started. Don't forget, brothers and sisters, we have the practice site for holistic medicines so that you can participate. I don't want you to out on this. We need natural medicines, herbal medicines to help us for our people. You should already know that by now. Is that right or wrong? That the enemy's medicine is not helping us. We have a lot of brothers and sisters right now who've been taking the enemy's medicine. They're dying from, well, brothers, sisters, I can't say that. Can't even tell you what they're leaving from, but you should have enough sense to know. You should have enough sense to know. I just don't want them to stop this recording. You know, it's hard to make these recordings. So, but you get it. You get what the brother is saying. I know you do. You get what the brother is saying. Don't forget, we have our holistic practice and products. Holistic practice and products. I don't want you to forget, brothers and sisters. Support black businesses no matter where they are. We want you to support them. I'm not going to be before you long tonight. Certainly won't be before you long tonight. So it won't be long, but I must be strong. Give you this information that you can use to help you in these trying times. We're some trying time, brothers and sisters. I'm sure you would agree. I'm sure you would agree that we are in some trying times. I want to also tell you that you can open your own business. Open your own business. You can ask us more about that. Very easy to set up, right? Very easy to set up.
Don't let the spin get you.
Right? You can open these up with $0 down. I want you to know that. $0. So it don't take you any money to open up your own business. Now you should be jumping on that. If the white man told you that, you'd be jumping on it. Yeah, you'd be jumping on that. $0 down.
And your woman learned their pride. Get yourself in gear. Keep your stride. Never mind your fear. Never mind, never mind.
You can email us. In case you're interested, you can always email us or send questions in the comment section for more questions that you may have. So I'm also going to put the email. I'll put more email for more information. All right, brothers and sisters, so you have this information real time. You have this information real time. And also, don't forget that we have Prince Imhotep University. You can train here. Prince Imhotep University. You can train here and maybe to get the information to open up African herbal pharmacy and medicine once you finish with 2 years of training. Very inexpensive, brothers and sisters, so make sure you go on this link, look it up. You can study at your own pace. So this is a great opportunity. No one can be turned down. No one can be turned down. So, brothers and sisters, definitely reach out with more questions if you have them so that we can answer them. And we'll wait. We're going to wait till other brothers and sisters get in. We're going to wait. Take our time on this subject today. Excuse me, brothers and sisters. I know you understand. All right? Excuse me. I know you understand. So we want to be prepared to talk about our subject tonight, and I encourage any questions. Come on in. Listen. We're going to do this together. You and I are going to teach this together. So any questions, answers you may have, just jump right on in there. Give us those answers. Give us those answers. If Allah has brought something back to your memory, tell us. We have to know what the OAAU is and what are their aims. What are its aims? We're going to be talking about that. Organization for Afro-American Unity. It still exists today. It still exists. And we have to discuss its aims tonight. No matter what our religion is, we should be together. We should be together no matter what the religion, brothers and sisters. I hope you hear me tonight. This is very important in our time. We have to know how and when to come together. And there's no better time than today for us to come together. And we're going to discuss this Organization for Afro-American Unity. What can we do? What can we do? What is our expectations on coming together today? We want to be able to talk about that. I want you to excuse me, my nose is running. Pollen is everywhere. You know how it is. So chime on in if you have any answers to the questions that are being posed or have comments. Please let us know. Please let us know. If you have any answers, just come in the session. Just come on in and let's teach each other on this. Let's teach each other on this because we'll never be free if we don't teach each other. I don't have all the answers. I don't have them all. I have a lot of them, but I don't have them all. So there are things that you know, and many of you are more educated on these subjects than I am. Please chime in and let us know what's going on from your perspective. From your perspective, let us know how you feel. This is very important as we teach one another. We have to teach one another. Each one teach one, right, brothers and sisters? So that's what we're in the process of doing. But nonetheless, we have better figure out a way that we can come together. And I say that because the white man has us divided today. We can't blame him for us not trusting one another, but we can blame him for him dividing us. We can. Because we know that during slavery, he created all these idiosyncrasies. And a lot of us have them, but we don't trust one another, right? We have to build trust among one another. I think that's our greatest weapon, right? Our greatest weapon and our greatest blueprint, if we use it to success. So the Organization of Afro-American Unity, remember this if you don't remember anything else, is a Pan-African, what is that? Pan-African or Pan-Africanist organization founded by Minister Malcolm X in 1964. You heard John Henry Clark talk about Pan-Africanism. Pan-Africanism is a worldwide movement that aims to encourage and strengthen bonds of solidarity between indigenous people of all diasporas of the African ancestry. Remember that. Based on a common goal dating back to the Atlantic slave trade. The movement extends beyond continental Africa and continental Africans. Isn't that right? Right, because if you and you say continental Africa and Africans, because you're African. I know a lot of you say, well, I don't have anything else to do in Africa. I never lost anything in Africa. Brothers and sisters, you lost your mind in Africa. And your ancestors, those that didn't fight, that left us in this situation, lost their lives eventually. Because one thing is definitely for sure. You have to know this. I don't understand why brothers and sisters that betrayed their race find this out later on. There's nothing you can do to become a legitimate part of the white power structure. I want you to know that. I want you to know that. There's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do. I've told you this, and I said over and over again. America was made for whites, by whites. The Constitution was made by whites, for the benefit of whites. So we have to be organized in our own organization. The Muslim movement is an organization of that sort, right? And these things, and I'm talking core, because I tell you that Minister Malcolm and the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad were assassinated because of the knowledge that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad planted within the Muslim movement. And Minister Malcolm was the best projector of this knowledge and intelligence, so much so that he said, I can do a better job when he was forced out of the Nation of Islam by CIA and by rebel rousers that were hired by the CIA to divide him and the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He still kept a loyalty and said, I could best work for Mr. Muhammad out of the Nation of Islam. So he organized the OAAU, which is Organization for Afro-American Unity, brothers and sisters, and was modeled on the Organization of African Unity, which impressed him, this is Minister Malcolm X, when he went to Africa. Now, in April of 1964 was the trip. The purpose of the OAAU was to fight for the human rights of Africans, right, or African Americans, say what you want, Afro-Americans, but for the American African, right, and promote cooperation among African people and people of African descent in the Americas. Is that right or wrong? So Malcolm X announced the establishment of the OAAU at the public meeting in New York's Audubon Ballroom on June 28, 1964. Now, he had written the group's charter with, we talked about him before, John Henry Clark. Remember we talked about him? Another one that was in the 92. They said that he died on that day, very suspicious death after he was going against Minister Farrakhan and telling people exactly how much Farrakhan was against liberation of black people. But John Henry Clark, the African-American historian, professor, prominent Afrocentrist, and pioneer in creating of the Pan-African and Africana studies and professional institution in the academia starting as late as 1960. You have, or the latest in the 1960s, you have Albert Cleage. We talked about Albert Cleage. Shrine of the Black Madonna, right, was a black nationalist Christian minister, political candidate, newspaper publisher, political organizer, and author, okay? He founded the prominent Shrine of the Black Madonna. Remember that. The Shrine of the Black Madonna Church is in 4 states, Calhoun Falls, South Carolina, Detroit, Michigan, Houston, Texas, and then there's one in Atlanta, Georgia. It also has bookstores in all of those areas. And it's important, Cleage, to know that Cleage was a lot like the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He respected the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And it was Cleage that warned Minister Malcolm about Farrakhan. It was Albert Cleage that warned Huey Newton about Farrakhan. It was Albert Cleage that warned Khalid Abdul Muhammad about Farrakhan. And Cleage himself was assassinated a year before Khalid Abdul Muhammad was assassinated. It was February, because all of them died in February. February the 20th, 2000. All of them died in February except Huey Newton, but the rest of them died in February, including Khaled, who died February the 18th officially, 2001. So that's Albert Cleage. And then brother Jesse Gray. Jesse Gray was an American civil rights leader and politician from New York. And Gray lended his support. And don't forget Gloria Richardson out of Maryland. She was out of Maryland, Cambridge, Maryland. Gloria Richardson. Gloria Richardson Dandridge was an American civil rights activist, best known as the leader of the Cambridge movement of civil rights action in the early 1960s in Cambridge, Maryland, and on the Eastern Shore. Recognized as a major civil rights leader. She was recognized as a major civil rights leader in the civil rights movement. And she was one of the more signature people when they was planning the March on Washington. We have to remember that. And also, one thing about her, and they talk about the civil rights movement, how free it was. I want you to know that they didn't even allow Gloria Richardson to even speak. They would not allow her to speak. Now, this is a civil rights movement talking about freedom, justice for everybody. They even allow her to speak. So that should tell you that integration was segregated from within. So they were being duped from the very beginning. And the Kennedy brothers was deciding every move. Well, I got to be honest. I have to be. I know you all like the Kennedys. I understand you like Robert and John Kennedy. I understand that. All I'm telling you is that they themselves, before they made a turnaround, right, before they made this grand turn, right, from their evil ways, they committed some horrendous acts. One of them was the killing of Patrice Lumumba. You remember Patrice in the Congos, right? The Congo, Republic of the Congo. So Patrice Lumumba was killed, right? They put the Kennedy brothers, before they changed their ways, because I know a lot of you are fascinated with the Kennedys. Before they changed their ways, they put tapping on Martin Luther King, right? Supposed to be a friend of theirs. Minister Malcolm X, Fred Shuttlesworth, Andrew Young, Coretta Scott King, Betty Shabazz, and Minister Malcolm X. I just want to let you know that. I just want to let you know. So, but nonetheless, they were assassinated because they truly fought for independence. Not necessarily because they were convicted. They fought independence for African Americans or the Africans born in America. They fought independence because it made them look bad. It made America look bad to ridicule other countries for the way they were treating Africans, and they were treating Africans here worse. So in a memo dated July 2nd, 1964, FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover, we're all familiar with him, described the nascent OAAU as a threat to national security. Excuse me, brothers and sisters. So a threat to national security. And as you know, J. Edgar Hoover, one of the most racist men in our nation's history, over a federal organization. He himself was black. You can check that. You can check it. And this is why I tell you, they can't damage us or do us any harm without getting some old sellout from among us. From among us. Some old sellout Uncle Tom to turn on you. Malcolm, along with John Henry Clark, wrote the following into the Organization of Afro-American Unity. Here's the basic of the Unity Program. These are the basic rules, and I want you to tell me if this looks familiar to you. Restoration in order to release ourselves from oppression of enslavers. Then it is absolutely necessary for the African American to restore with Africa. Restore communication with Africa. That was number one. That was number one. If I mess up on this, then brothers and sisters, y'all give me a hand. Number two, reorientation. We can learn much from Africa by reading informative books and by listening to the experiences of those who have traveled there. That was 2. We got to reorientate ourselves as Africans with Africa. You have to do it. Why you look like a fool going to Mecca and not stopping by Africa. Brothers and sisters, you out of your mind to go all the way to Mecca and not stopping to Africa to find out who you are first, and then you can make your trip. Find out who you are. Other than that, you're going over there marching around the wall as a dummy, and you're coming back as a dummy. There's no reason why you shouldn't understand who you are culturally first, Semitically second, right? Continentally third, socially fourth, right? And most importantly, emotionally fifth. You have to understand who you are, what makes you tick. And after that, then you can go to Mecca and come back if you like, right? Because you all have to make the trip in the Hajj. And I encourage Christian blacks, to make a trip to the Hajj as well, because that monument was built by a black man. Abraham was a brother that built that monument, right? So that's your history. Third, we need education. We have to have education, brothers and sisters. The Organization of Afro-American Unity will devise original education methods. That's what we need, and we got to have that today. And procedures which will liberate the minds of our children. So we need home education system. Is that right or wrong? We will encourage qualified Afro-Americans to write and publish the textbooks needed to liberate our minds. So the information comes from us. Conscious brothers and sisters that are writing information, that have done the research. Don't give us something that the man's giving you and you're passing down. We've read Little Sambo enough. We don't want that. We want some real information about Africa, and we want to stimulate the mind of our children so they will know enough about Africa and about their own culture, right? So that once we get there, then we can pick up from where we left off and have actual artifacts. We can do it. Alex Haley gave us the key to doing it, right? And we can do that here before we even get over there, then find out where we are. And there's enough information in our families where we can figure these things out. So you need to research your history, right? Get the education on your history. Get education about continental Africa and talk about all the tribes there. And if you look at those tribes there, you also look here and see the Native American have equivalent dress. The language is almost the same. I mean, they are the American African. And many of us are American Africans because of being brought here. And then we go over there and find out about continental Africa, right? And represent ourselves, getting information there to educate us over here. But we must liberate our minds and the minds of our children. Encourage qualified Afro-Americans to write and publish the textbooks needed to liberate our minds, educating them, our children, at our home. Get them out of these public schools. The time of the public schools have passed, brothers and sisters. Public schools have passed. They're a thing of the past. You don't see it yet. You don't see it yet, but it's coming. And the internet is one of the reasons why you're going to have children studying at home, whether they're doing statewide education or home education. Why you should get intelligent. You should get intelligent. We have a lot of smart brothers and sisters, but it's time to get intelligent and start controlling the educational resources in our community. Fourth, brothers and sisters, we got to have an economic security. We got to create our own businesses, reestablish our own businesses. And after the Emancipation Proclamation, it was realized that the Afro-Americans constituted the largest homogeneous ethnic group with a common origin and common group experience in the United States. And if allowed to exercise economic and political freedom, right, would in a short period of time own this country. And that was the fear when you and I got out of slavery, when our grandparents got out of slavery, our great-grandparents got out of slavery. The white man feared the time coming where we would own this country. And today is the same threat. If there were more of us then under bondage, there's even more of us now. We must establish a technician bank. We have to have a technician bank, brothers and sisters, be able to pull our knowledge on jobs, pull our knowledge on technical education, so that we can teach one another the same trade and control the trade of those markets. We control the job market right now because we've always, in so many instances, been hired with lower pay. But imagine you controlling one particular industry of our own. You look at the Mexican controls Mexican food. Is that right or wrong? If you look at the Jews, they control the grocery stores and the banks. Look at the Italians, they control crime. Is that right or wrong? The Native American control everything from native products. Is that right or wrong? So, and the Asian man controls the technology. So we've got to have something that we control. We have to be able to control our herbal science, African herbal science, African cultural education, and African cultural remedies, right? That's a market of things that we can control. And if we push our money toward these industries in the community, provided that it is a community type project, that it is a national type project by the African born here, then we're able to spread that market out. Brothers and sisters will be able to work inside of those markets. Is that right or wrong? So we've got to get wise. We've got to get intelligent. We must establish a technician bank. Also, brothers and sisters, we must do this so that the newly independent nation of Africa can turn to us. You find the Africans turning to the American business owners, the American politicians, the American philanthropists. Why? If we control these things, they can turn to us, who are our brothers and sisters, for the technicians they will need to be for the future. And we're behind time in this. We're behind time in this. And lastly, brothers and sisters, we need self-defense. We got to have that. We won't be able to protect the market that we create or the people working in those markets if we don't have them. You know, brothers and sisters are being killed around here, right? From Emmett Till to George Floyd, we've had nothing but bloody death. And so we need self-defense in order to enslave a people and keep them subjugated. Their right to self-defense must be denied, right? And you say the Constitution give us the right to bear arms. Again, the Constitution was made for whites for the benefit of whites. Incidentally, through amendment, they make you believe through political propaganda that you have the right to own arms. But at the same time, all they have to say is that he has a gun and they can shoot you down. This is justification, right? Justification for them shooting you. So we must be wise. We encourage African Americans to defend themselves against wanton attacks of the racist aggressors and whose sole aim is to deny us the guarantee of the United States Nation Charter of Human Rights and of the Constitution of the United States. So these are the 5 key points in this charter that was made. 5 key points, right? And let's go over those key points again, just to say it: restoration, reorientation, education, economic security, and self-defense. Now, brothers and sisters, the OAAU pushed for Black control of every aspect of the Black community. At the following founding rally, Minister Malcolm X stated that the organization's principal concern was human rights of Blacks, but it would also focus on voters registration, school boycotts, right? Your boycotts, get your children out of those public schools. It's not doing anything for you anyway, not anymore. Rent strikes, right? Now, this is key. This is key because this will work today. A rent strike is a method of protest commonly employed against large landlords, right? In a rent strike, a group of tenants come together and agree to refuse to pay their rent en masse through a mass movement until the specific list of demands is met by the landlord. This could be a useful tactic, a final resort to use against intransient landlords. So we know that there's power. You still have a lot of power that you're not using. And most of the rental property is consumer. Most of the consumerism in America is from Blacks, and especially rent. And we have to organize technically to be able to do this and save our monies to get our own place. We need housing rehabilitation, social programs for addicts. We got to have that. There's more drugs in the community of black people than any other place on the planet. So we've got to get in control of that. We have to control unwed mothers. Now, there's two processes, monogamy and polygamy. And brothers and sisters, say what you want, but a child is better off with a man in the home to give him direction. Because women were not made to raise men, no more than men were made to raise women. And they certainly wasn't made to do it alone, either of them. So you must have a man in the house or a man around that child. It's very important because it stop troubled children from growing up within a black neighborhood and getting in trouble. A lot of our children, when they get in trouble, they go to crime, and the rest is history. You understand the process. Minister Malcolm, in his life, had his father taken away from him. I'm sure you would agree that this is when the trouble happened, when they took the male out of the home. They killed Malcolm's father. A lot of our fathers are being killed. A lot of our mothers are being killed. The minute that you do that, you can stagnate the black family, right? It becomes broken, brothers and sisters. So we got to, the key is to work to keep families together, not to divide them. So whether it's through monogamy or polygamy, we must have a plan of action to save our black community. Also, brothers and sisters, the OAAU can unbrainwash black people, ridding them of lies they have been told about themselves and their culture. Now, on July 17th, is that right or wrong? On July the 17th, 1964, Minister Malcolm X was welcomed to a meeting of the Organization of African Unity in Africa. July the 17th, 1964. That's correct. Minister Malcolm was invited to a second meeting of Organization of African Unity. I believe that was in Cairo, as a representative of the OAAU. So him being recognized as an African in America, he joined the African Group of Africa in Cairo and became a member of the Organization of African Unity. And for us in America, it's the Organization of Afro-American Unity. So to make a long story short, Minister Malcolm was able to represent us in Cairo for the same rights and liberation in the human rights sector through the United Nations. So now, this is for black people. You have to understand that. And there's a reason for that. Malcolm X did not change, brothers and sisters, excuse me. He did not change when he came out. When he was out of the Muslim movement, he never changed. And he didn't get out, he was put out by the manipulation of CIA agents. Now, he didn't change. The Nation of Islam didn't allow whites. Did not allow them. Malcolm never changed. Okay, when a reporter asked him whether white people could join OAAU, Malcolm said, definitely not. They can't join. This is for black people. Then he added, if John Brown were alive, if he was still alive, we might accept him. Now, brothers and sisters, you remember John Brown, right? The crazy white preacher. You didn't have to ask him if slavery was wrong. He went through killing slave owners, plantation owners. He went through killing them. So we knew, right? When he was doing that, he's not against us, he's for us. I'm not telling anybody white to go out and start killing other white races. I never said it. I never said that. I'm using John Brown as an example. John Brown was a prominent leader in the American abolitionist movement in the decades preceding the Civil War. He believed in something he stood up for. If white people are so much friends of you, the way they say they are, right? If they're your friend, all I'm saying is they'll do so. When the time comes, they'll stand with you. Right? Those that are not with you are against you. I hope you can appreciate this, brothers and sisters. So first reaching the national prominence in 1850s for his radical abolitionism, and fighting in bleeding Kansas, right? So he proved himself. And I just want to let your white friend know they can still prove themselves. They can still prove themselves. And I'm not telling them to go out and do anything. There are many ways that they can prove themselves, right? And they'll have to discover which way works for them. It's not up for you and I to tell them how to prove themselves. They'll have to figure that out themselves, right? But we can definitely disagree without being violently disagreeable. Is that right or wrong? We can talk, but we won't take the guilt complex that's built up by whites because we have our own organization and he's not allowed. And besides, why would a white man want to get into a black organization anyway? I've never been able to figure that out. So Malcolm did not have sufficient time to invest in OAAU to help it flourish. And after his death, Malcolm's half-sister Ella Collins took over the leadership of the OAAU, but dwindling membership and Malcolm's absence eventually led to the collapse of the organization. Now the organization collapsed. But it didn't die. What they did was they Sister Ella Little Collins, that's her name, Ella Little Collins. We're going to talk about her real quickly, right? And what did we miss, brothers and sisters? Just let me say this about the Organization of African Unity. This is the organization that Minister Malcolm modeled his organization from, which is the African Organization for African Unity, and it was in Cairo. And I want you to know that they're banding together as Africans because they're going to take these complaints to the United Nations, and they did in 25th May 1963. The Organization of African Unity was an intergovernmental organization established 25th of May 1963 in Addis Ababa, which is in Ethiopia, right, brothers and sisters, with 32 signature governments. And one of the main heads of the OAU establishment was Kwame Nkrumah of Ghana, right? It's disbanded July 9th, July 9th, 2002. Disbanded as separate organizations with sovereign rights in each. But again, it was not done away with. It only disbanded. And that's important. Now, also, Ella Little Collins, who Minister Malcolm turned the organization over to, was the same sister that gave him money to go to Mecca. Very same sister covered his trip. And she was very wealthy in her own right. She owned a lot of real estate. Sister Ella Little Collins was an American civil rights activist and half-sisters of Minister Malcolm X. She was born in Butler, Georgia, to Earl Little and Daisy Little. Her paternal grandparents were John Lee Little and Ella Little, okay? And thus her name, Ella Little Collins. And her siblings were Mary Little and Earl Little Jr. So she had seven brothers and sisters, and Minister Malcolm was the baby brother. Now, let's get back to the OAAU, right? It's still in existence. The rules for the game is still down, right? And it can always grow. If you go to Facebook, you go to LinkedIn, if you go to African American Defense League, you'll see memberships in those areas. You can join those areas for membership in the Organization of Afro-American Unity. We have to come together, brother, regardless of our religion, regardless of our perspectives, regardless of anything that we do or have done in the past, irregardless of any divisions we may have had, we've got to come together. I'd like to say hello to our brother, Derek Witherspoon. I'd like to say hello to you, brother. Glad to have you here. We miss you very much. And thank you for chiming in. Minister Malcolm was teaching, though, this information that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad had given him. And he was on his way back into the nation before his death. I just imagine how flourishing black nationalism black nationalism would have been. We have to, when we pay attention to nationalism, we have to start with the Nation of Islam. If we look at it as a vehicle, it has to be through the Nation of Islam. I tell you why. Garveyism depended on rationalism. Now, and I want you to understand this. Marcus Garvey had a great blueprint, wonderful blueprint, excellent blueprint. But what he didn't have was an army. He never had an army. And that was the downside. I know some of y'all said, well, he had brothers that marched and stuff like that. Yeah, but that was no real army. And you never march your brothers down the street unless you mean business. It's not something we do in a parade. We don't parade our brothers so they can be seen. See what I mean? If you remember that phony Grandmaster Jay, right? You remember him, right? Yeah, he's marching with what is it? The NFAC. The only time you march your men out like that is if you're a plant. Now, this same man was the security guard for Donald Trump. I'm just letting you know. I'm just letting you know how close it can be. Police was helping him. These are police. This brother would march through town with men that were armed, women that were armed. They say they were armed. It could have been costume guns. I don't know. But white police that on average would kill you were helping these brothers and sisters march through towns, protecting them as they came in and go out. Something's wrong with that. Something was wrong with that. Definitely wrong with that. Something was wrong with that. So we have to be wise. We got to be wise and use our intelligence. Can't use our smarts. Street smarts have never built anything. Being smart has never built anything. It's only the opposite side of cleverness. But intelligence, brothers and sisters, technology has built everything in front of you, whether it's for the enemy or not. Whether it's for the enemy or not. So we've got to start using it for ourselves. Is that right or wrong? When we start using our own intelligence, then we're well on our way. But it has to be us. It has to be us. Stop waiting for the white man to do something that he's not going to do for you. He will never set you free. He's not going to do it. We've got to come together and do it ourselves because he's not going to do it. And I can't blame him. Can you blame the white man for not setting you free? I mean, you can't blame him, right? Because he knows if he lets you go, then everything else fails. You're the reason that this country is successful. When the children of Israel was in Egypt, Pharaoh came after them because they completed the labor force, right? And they did the production and all of that, right? So we got to get wise. We got to get wise. We have to use our intelligence to weather through this storm. We don't have to hate. You don't have to be out marching against nothing. All you got to do is go in your community and get your brother and sister, because they need you, and build up your community. Get the houses in your community, renovate them. Get the cars in your community and take those cars and remanufacture those cars. Get the engines and lights, anything that could be used, right? We need to control our own mechanic shops, our own cars, rebuild our own houses within the community. It's better to renovate them than to tear them down, right? And that will provide housing for families. We wouldn't have so much homelessness because we'll be combating it. We need big missions in our community. We need our own missions. We need our own missions for our own people. Put those in our communities, outside of our communities, and we will handle the problems of poverty. We need ministers in the pulpit that care for our people. Some of you are saying, well, what are we going to do about those ministers that don't care, that are in the pulpit? I know, it worries me too. All you got to do is run them out of town. Why, if you run them out of town, they won't come back. Yeah, run them out of town, because you know the white man got them in there anyway, right? Run him out of town and put somebody in there that's going to stand up for the people. Who's going to stand up for the people, who's going to love the people, who's going to finance the ideals of the people to get something in the community that's going to work for the entire community. Other than that, if he's not there for that, he's not doing anything but job, and he's not saving any souls. He's not teaching any intelligence. He's not teaching any righteousness, right? Because a lot of these brothers will go through the church sleeping with the sisters and giving them babies. Come on, brothers. A lot of them not even interested in the women anymore. You got to watch your kids because he's so sick. Is that right or wrong? Till he after the men, right? So we got to be steadfast, unmovable, and what's that? Always abounding in the work of God. Isn't that right? And we've got to get on God's side. Oh, brothers and sisters, we got to get on God's side. If we're on God's side, then God will be on our side and he'll help us, right? We need God. I don't know about you. I need him every second, every minute, every hour of the day. Every week, every month, every year I pray, right? That's what the old song say. Huh? I got to have what? Jesus. Because I just can't make it by myself. Isn't that right, brothers and sisters? Yeah, we got to have God on our side. We got to have Jehovah on our side. We got to have Allah on our side. I use all of those names because I know it's the same God. It's the same God. We got to be ready, willing, and waiting, right? Until the Savior comes. Isn't that right? Our Savior has come, brothers and sisters. Our Savior has come. And for that reason, we work while it's day, right? Because the night cometh when no man can work. Isn't that right? So we got to be steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in the work of God, which creates in us righteousness. We can't change the drug addict if we're doing drugs with him. Is that right? We can't change the drug dealer by taking his dirty money. Isn't that right? We can't change the prostitute by lying in her bed. Is that right or wrong? We can't change the wino by sitting down drinking with him. Is that right or wrong? Huh? But we can put our arms around him and say, there's a better way. And brothers and sisters, there is a better way. And that way is with God and to get on God's side. So we got to get on God's side, and God will teach us, brothers and sisters, how to unite with one another. He'll teach us how to exist and coexist. We need to start having community meetings amongst one another. Just us. Just us. The white man created FHBH, right? That's for him, by him. We gotta be true to for us, by us. We gotta have a FUBU mentality or a BUFU mentality. For us, by us, or by us, for us. Either way, whichever order you want to put it in, we've got to think with that kind of mindset and think with the mind of deliverance. And when we gather together, we should be strengthening ourselves so much that one can't fall for the other. And I don't know about you, but when you deal with brothers and sisters and you praising God, right? No matter where it is, it don't have to be in the Muslim temple. It don't have to be in the Holiness Temple. It don't have to be in the Baptist church or the Methodist church only, but it could be all of us coming together or all of us coming to visit one another. But there's nothing like brothers and sisters getting together, shouting and praising God and hearing the truth, because when we all come together, that's where our power is, brothers and sisters. The white man knows it. He knows it. And I know a lot of y'all saying, I told you, brother minister, I told you that all white people are not the same. I know. But if you had 1 billion bees, huh? If you had 1 billion bees and those bees was coming for you, and brothers and sisters, and a fella telling you, slow down, don't run, don't panic, just stand still. They may not sting you. You got to stand still though. Now he got a bee uniform, right? On the side of the road, not anywhere close to the bees. And here you are, the bees is after you so much so that if you stop, they're going to sting you to death. Brothers and sisters, you be out of your mind. Psychologically and physically. To stand there in the middle of a billion swarming bees, trying to catch that million bees that don't have a stinger, that may not have a stinger, right? So I'll never say that every white man is the same, but I'll say if you had a billion bees, would you stand in the middle of those bees? That's the question I have for you, brothers and sisters. I just want you to think. I just want you to think. I love you, and I teach this because I love you. I don't get paid for it. Don't get paid for it. As a matter of fact, brothers and sisters, some days look pretty rough. Look pretty rough. I want to stay before you. I want you to be praying for us. I want to stay before you. But you know how it is. You got to pay these bills. And you know, black people, one of the things we got to stop doing, we got to stop supporting the white man. Stop supporting racism and start putting some money behind black brothers and sisters that are out here sacrificing their time. We're out here sacrificing our time to educate you, not to be seen. I see brothers and sisters that are sincerely fighting that we can get this knowledge out. We need your support. You got tax season and all these things coming up. Now, you know you're going to blow all that money on some tennis shoes that you don't own. Michael Jordan is one of the wealthiest men in the world today because everybody is buying Jordan. Everybody's spending $300 and $400 and $500 on a pair of sneakers and will beat you up, beat you down, spread you out if you step on those sneakers. But with all of that money, don't have a place to live in, won't buy a book to read, won't have a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of. And brothers and sisters, it's just sad. Pay for something that lasts. Knowledge. And let us support us. Support us so that we can do greater things for you. No, I'm not begging. I want you to know I'm not begging, but I'm asking repetitiously. I'm asking because I know that together we can do it. We can do great things together. Great things together. And my desire, my prayers, and I've got some months to do this, that we would raise what we need. I want to embolden this system and be able to take care of this place we're in, and so that we can do greater things. Oh, we got a talk show coming up called The Couch. We're moving in faith. We're moving in faith. That's the job of the righteous. We got to walk by faith. Isn't that right? Said the just shall live by faith. So we got a talk show coming up called The Black Couch, and this sister, and coming on there, man, it's on fire. On fire. Brothers, we got to get strong. We got to get strong. Got to get strong. But with The Black Couch, we're going to run that show and try to create some answers for the black family. Hear out the black man and black woman. Hear them out and live a righteous life. Live a righteous life. Don't be hypocrites. Don't make people think in the public that you're living right. Behind closed doors, you're treating your family and everybody else like dogs. We got to get better than that. Let's be real. When the cameras are not on us, let's be real. Be real and help our people. Our people are in trouble. Y'all hear me? Do you hear me? Our people are in trouble. We got to come together. Got to come together. So, brothers and sisters, we got to organize. We have to organize. If we don't organize, we're going to fail. And failing to plan is planning to fail. If we don't get organized, we are going to fail. we are going to fail. And that's why we have been failing. You look at our ancestors, they built up mighty businesses coming out of slavery. They built up mighty businesses. They had more businesses then without education than we have today with education. You know, I mean, we have to be talking economics. If we don't talk about building up the Black community and businesses within the Black community and hiring Black people, we're losing out. We're not doing the right thing. We've got to build. We've got to build up. We've got to build, and we got to build up. This is what God is causing and calling us to do. Those of us that know better, those of us that can hear him, he wants us to build up the Black community. He's telling us to build it up. Stop marching in the streets. It's time out for that. We've got to teach our children how to respect their elders, in turn, how to respect the law, and all of those things. We can do that. We won't have to worry about them being killed. We have a job to do. We have a great job to do. It's time that we do it. It's time that we do it. Brothers and sisters, I'm not going to hold you. We talked a while. We'll get ready to get off, but I want you to be steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in the work of God, which is found in his work, which is found in his name. If you look at Jesus, God empowered Jesus to be an example to the world. And he was leading a revolution. He was leading a revolution. Will you be a part of the revolution? The revolution is going on, brothers and sisters. It's not televised. Gil Scott-Heron was right. It's not televised, but it's going on. Will you be a part of the revolution? You need to be a part of the revolution. You have to get in. Now, your white friends can't get in with you. All right? So you have to understand that. You have to understand that. Your white friends can't come in. They can't come in. Absolutely not. But you can come in. You can come in. And when you come in, get the knowledge that you need to take back to your community so that your community can grow for the purpose of our children. Because the mind is a terrible thing to waste, especially in the Black community. Right? Remember that? When we had the United Negro College Fund, does that even exist anymore? Do we even have it anymore? I don't know. I don't know if we even have it anymore, but we used to have it when we cared about our community. Time when we cared about our community, brothers and sisters. We got to get back. Get back to caring. Get back to loving in our community. The time has come, brothers and sisters. Time has come. But I've enjoyed it. I love you, brothers and sisters. It's always good talking and having a fireside chat with you. It's a pleasure. And I look forward to us coming together tomorrow. Just look at the schedule online. All you got to do is look at it. And you'll see the calendar that we have. We're beating down these days. We got a sister that's coming on a black couch. She's tough. Brothers, there's an enemy on the line. She's tough. Right? Muslim brothers, I need y'all to be standing up. Christian brothers, stand up. We need some sisters on our side. We got a sister that breathes fire, and we're going to merge with the black couch. It's going to be handling problems in the Black community. So look forward to her coming before you. Look very much forward to her coming before you, and we thank her. We're very thankful. Powerful, powerful sister. Standing for the blacks. Standing for black brothers and sisters. So, boy, when that sister comes, Che Nefertiri, when she comes, it's going to be, wow. I'm going to have my boxing gloves ready. Yeah, I got to get my boxing gloves, brother. I got to stand for the brothers. Get my boxing gloves ready. But in all seriousness, it's for the family and to stay together as a family, as a black unit, black family. When I say black family, I'm talking about all of us. I'm talking about all of us. We talk about from the single family down for the father and mother, the children, all the way up to family. We are brothers and sisters. No matter where we are brothers and sisters, right? And God has called us all together to do the same thing. And he's causing us to come together and do the same thing. Brothers and sisters, I appreciate you very much. I appreciate you very much. I did say it before, I say it now. Peace be unto you. Assalamu alaikum.
Free.